Okay, so yeah, this follows along actually from what can everyone see that? Okay. From what Tim was saying quite well, and what I'm saying entirely comes from other people, not from myself. So Jose Cardoso, who Tim may have seen on this Zoom before, giving presentations, who has been a tireless worker in positive mitigation of this technology due to his own suffering with electromagnetic stress. And then he introduced us to his friend Anna from Portugal, who came on the Zoom and who talked to us as well. And we've got all Jose's presentations that he's made available to us. I'll have to share that at the end because I don't think I can share it now on this link if people want this information. So I've just taken information from Jose's presentations and added in my pictures. So this is the dodecahedron, and you can clearly see the 12 pentagons, which make it up. And this is Richard Vobes and Julia. And we've been taking this device around, and it's a really cool device because you can take it apart like a tent, and it's got these aluminium tubes, and it's got steel corners. And this is at the Better Way World Council for Health. These are what Jose first showed us about the dodecahedron. So these were pictures that he took in around Zurich between 2022 and September 23. So you can see masses of chemtrails. I mean, we don't get so many down in North Devon, but he's getting a lot. He was getting a lot where he was. Then he put up the dodecahedron, and this is what happened. They were still spraying every day, but the chemtrails were fading away quicker and didn't accumulate as they did before. And we find exactly the same thing down in North Devon. I've been taking a lot of pictures, which I haven't processed all of them yet, but I've got videos which show a plane passing the spraying, and whereas before they just used to spread out and become a thick, horrible cloud like a blanket, now they're just fading away. So he says from 30th of 9th, 23, the clouds are forming again, but they've got a much more normal shape despite all they keep spraying. And again, exactly the same thing we found down here. Stuart calls it more normal weather, and that's how it feels. It doesn't mean to say that it's not going to stop raining or it's going to be sunny all the time, but the weather is just more how it used to be without these blankets of clouds. So the dodecahedron is a great environmental and individual harmonizer, which, as Tim has just been saying, it uses the power of sacred geometry, which allows a harmonizing of the environment at a subatomic, atomic, molecular, and cellular level as it interacts with etheric energies. I'm a student of yoga, and in yoga they say, ether is the fifth element, and it contains earth, air, fire, and water. So not only are we talking about scientific investigation here, we're also talking about very, very ancient knowledge. They knew about the power of the dodecahedron thousands and thousands of years ago. Ether, or the it's spelt in both ways, is also called spirit or space. It's the cosmos. It's an all-inclusive, unifying energy that encompasses all the other four. and represents life force at its purest. So sacred geometry allows us to raise vibrations as well as concentrate and expand the energy of any organic device that we place inside it. So the orgon devices are particularly the ones from Wilhelm Reich's work, which most people will know about. So just as Tim said, you can set positive intentions inside the dodecahedron, and we have done that sometimes with several of us in order to have beneficial effects. We did it at that World Council for Health conference because the weather was crazy, and it was actually quite funny. It was quite dramatic, and I felt as if having the dodecahedron there really did make a difference. There was some like short, sharp bursts of showers and even thunder and lightning, but it didn't stay and rain the whole day, which it maybe might have done. You can also place crystals inside the dodecahedron to enhance its effects. And the experiments that Jose has been doing in Switzerland, and we were very lucky to meet him when we went to the Road to Geneva, Say No to the WHO event, and we met him just outside Geneva, which was great. And he's been using Slim Sperling's energy harmonizers, which I can also give you the information on, to enhance the dodecahedron effects. So this is the Telegram group, if anybody would like it, and I can put these things also in the chat. So the effects of the dodecahedron, which is also known as the door of the ether, allows the restoration of natural cycles and the environmental reordering of the atmosphere, meaning that cumulus clouds appear again and a sky that is being cleaned of the chemical heat resulting from the attacks of geoengineering and the launch of chemtrails. That's what Jose said. And this Telegram group is the Portuguese ladies, Anna and her friends. So you can make your own small dodecahedron, and this gives you, it shows you how you can do that. And you can also find this kind of information on the internet. This is the how to make it, which I'm not going to go through that because we haven't really got enough time. And also this is not my strong point, but you've got the information here if you want it. The guy who we know who makes them for us, he created this jig, and you can see here those three, you can see the corner, and the jig holds the pieces of steel, and then he can solder this bit, and then he can turn it over and solder the other side. So it's really clever. And he welds particularly car wheels, and he likes making these dodecahedrons. He thinks it's great. So that's the jigs, just basically to hold it. Just something briefly on scalar waves, because people talk a lot about scalar waves, and I don't pretend to be an expert on this, but Jose had done some research, and this is something which he had showed us in a much longer presentation, the conversion of an electric wave to an etheric stress wave and vice versa. And I'm interested in this because it reminds me of homeopathy. It's almost like one energy like cures like, or resonance, as Tim was talking about with the two guitars. So what Jose found, and I don't know again if this chimes with what Tim thinks or whether he thinks something differently, but this is straight from Jose and the research that he has done from other books. Scalar waves are waves without electromagnetic fields. They travel through the ether instantaneously. There's a diagram here. Where is it? That one is the actually no, the diagram is the one above. Sorry, it's actually the one above, the one that I just showed you. This one here. In the diagram, we see how to produce scalar waves using opposing electrical fields. The electrical component cancels itself out, and the resulting energy is a single wave in the etheric medium. Wheeler and Bone postulated the idea that electromagnetic radiation is the result of the interaction of energy voltages involved in the 0-point energy stratum. So this is more information. By definition, scalar waves have no defined direction. They propagate in the etheric medium instantly and connect with anything to which a resonance is established. Wilhelm Reich researched orgone and scalar waves. Almost all of his writings were burned, and he used this energy to heal people and influence the weather. The FDA questioned these therapies and banned his work, and he was arrested in the 1950s and put into a penitentiary for the rest of his life. It is believed that orgone energy has scalar wave characteristics based on the observed results, but we still don't know how to characterize it or measure it with precision at this time. The practical results of orgone devices made by Reich have been replicated over time, and people using those devices have experienced health improvements, and they've also created devices which improve the weather. So there's a bit more information on this for other people who want to investigate further from Tom Bearden. And Jose, when we asked him, do you think it's possible to transform, the 5G frequencies into scalar waves? And he thinks it is possible, but it needs to be tried. And he's looking for people who would be able to do this. Right. So this is the etheric vortex phenomenon between two lines, and it looks actually very similar to what Tim was telling us about, the light donuts or the light spheres moving along the cathode tube. So these are the slim Sperling harmonizers, and just very, very simple tensor ring, which also looked like the one that Tim was speaking about earlier. And these are very simple and inexpensive methods to neutralize and create scalar waves to deal with geopathic stress, and can also be used with the Dodecahedron. And this is a very good book by him. And yes, what else? So the dodecahedron is the Platonic reference solid for interacting with the ether. And water has this great affinity with orgone energy, and experiments have revealed that orgone devices can produce rain and displace clouds. So there's a very close relationship between the dodecahedron, orgone energy, and water. This is one of the Portuguese devices, and you can see that there is an orgone device in here as well. Their dodecahedron, they can't take them apart, they're welded. So our one is a lot more practical. And that's me up in Staffordshire in this chapel, outside this chapel, belonging to Stuart's daughter and son-in-law. And I'm setting a positive intention in there. I love doing it. It just feels great to be inside there, and you can sit or lie in it. And we took it to a conference a couple of weeks back, and people were sitting in it and saying that they felt better. And this is in Andrew Bridgen's garden when we were campaigning with him. And it was beautiful weather actually that week. I don't know if we can thank the dodecahedron, but it certainly boosted everybody's morale to have this dodecahedron in the garden. There's Reich and one of his orgon devices, the Cloudbuster, which again we can talk about another time with somebody who can understand it better and explain it better than I can. And this is a small translator from Harry Rhodes, which is also like a small cloudbuster. And this was an experiment that we did at Shine Seminar at the beginning of August. So this was at breakfast time. And when we came, this is Rachel, who looks after this translator, works with Harry. So you can see there are these sort of blankets of clouds when we first put this device out on the grass where we were camping. And then there were all these chemtrails. There'd been chemtrails earlier, but you can see how the chemtrails are dissipating. They're spreading out, but they're not all joining into one another. And when I saw this, I thought, wow, they look so beautiful. It reminded me of this book, which I had at home. So there again, you can see the chemtrails. They're not spreading out. They're not causing blankets. They're just turning into fluffy sort of clouds. It reminded me of the artwork of Geoffrey Hodgson. I don't know if anyone's seen this book, The Kingdom of the Gods. So this is just my interpretation. It's as if the Devic kingdom, the nature spirits, actually given the energy that they need by the dodecahedron, and then they can create beautiful clouds rather than having to work with the negative energy and finding that they can't shift it because they haven't got the positive energy to shift it. That's the flower of life, which is in the top of that little translator that I showed you. And then this is our third way of shifting energy. So this is, other people have heard me talking about this before, the main yogi teacher that we follow, who was an English master of yoga called George King. And inside this battery, which he called a spiritual energy battery, he has gold and crystals. And when people pray here, he picks up the energy, and using Tibetan mudra, he puts that energy, directs it into the battery, and he says it goes into the etheric spaces. And then that energy is then released to where it's most needed in the world, if there's a famine or a war, or if there's peace talks. But these batteries can be used, they're just, you know, energy potential, and they can be used for good or bad. So yeah, over here they're all using it for the best intentions through prayer energy. So yeah, that's him again at Lake Powell in the States. This is us on Holston Down, just above where we live, which is a beautiful place, and one of our friends. And then you can see here, this is another friend of ours who's been praying. It's not a brilliant picture, but you can see all the light around him. And we've seen with a lot of people praying that the weather just changes and opens up. It's as if it becomes less stagnant and more natural. It's another pilgrimage. And we've got two actually coming up, one on Yes Tour on the 12th of October and one at Brown Willie on Bodmin Moor on the 23rd of November.
What prayers ago, they must be said.
This is 23rd of November. One. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. and it's already 9 o'clock. So I don't know if anybody wants to ask anything, but we could just, maybe just have any quick observations. Oh, somebody, Ian, he's got his slim Sperling style energizer there. That's great. Is that one you made earlier, Ian?
No, I got that from oh, hang on. I'm muted, I think, aren't I? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, I bought it from somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but I can
Cool.
give the link.
That's great. Yeah, you can get them on the internet, and if you don't want to make it yourself.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's slightly different, but it's the same principle as the one you were showing, isn't it?
that's right. I mean, you can make, I think, there'll be variations on a theme. What
So
I
I was
don't
going
know.
to put that inside of the dodecahedron when I get it.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
And,
Um,
and Harry's down the road as well, so I was going to get one of his as well.
yeah, that's really good.
Mm.
So looks like Julia's got a question. And actually, just before we go to Julia, I'd be quite interested to see, Tim, if you are still there and you haven't disappeared to do something else. Do what I said, would you say that I mean, a lot of it goes along with what you were saying, doesn't it? But there may be some bits that don't.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I just nipped off to have some food while I was listening.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the structure of the dodecahedron is very important. It not only houses all of the platonic solids, but as a geometric structure, it's there to hold the energy that we create and also, I think, amplify it. So
Yes.
I agree that all of those things. And if you're having great success with things like chemtrails, well, that's fantastic news.
Yeah, thank you. So, Julia, I think we'll just take one question from Julia, and then we'll just just start rounding up. Julia.
Just two mind-blowing talks. I'm just absolutely so stunned by the information. It's fantastic, both of you. Thank you. Will Tim's talk and your slides be somewhere we can access them?
Yes,
please.
Yes. What we can do is when Nicholas sends out the Zoom link in 2 weeks, I'll create two WeTransfer links, which actually now WeTransfer, the links only last for 3 days, but anybody who wants to can it used to be a week, but it's not anymore on my free one. So you can download them. So that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
You can have that information. Thank you very much, everyone. It's great to focus on so much positivity, isn't it, in one evening? And just to say, Nicholas asked me to make a mention for Caroline Kelly. She has got a court case coming up it's not until the 29th of October, so we can announce it again, but it's at 10 a.m. Court 9 in Westminster Magistrates Court. And if you want to go and support her against Hammersmith and Fulham, then you can. Great. So yes, events coming up. We've got our People's Reset event, which is coming up at the end of this month, 27th to 29th of September. For anybody who might be interested to come along, I'll put that in the chat. And we've been raising awareness by getting people who are on this group and associated to submit workshop ideas. So Tim, you could also submit a workshop idea, because what it does is even if you don't get to show your workshop this time around, they've got your information for the future. And this technology is obviously really, really important. Looks like Ingrid may want to say something.
No, just do you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Just quickly, Neil Oliver on GB News was talking about that People's Reset today. So
Yes.
there might be quite a few more people coming.
That's good.
I was surprised to, to hear it because. Pardon?
Yeah, he's one of the speakers.
Oh, right. But, talking on TV on this obviously gives you a lot more PR.
Well, that's great to know, Ingrid. I'm very pleased to hear that.
Yeah, okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. And we thank you very much, Tim, for spending so much time with us and for explaining things simply. I'm saving the chat. And yep, and I've got the recordings, so I can